Welcome back to another financial algebra video lesson. Today we're going to finish filling out our tax forms 1040 and let's get to it. So the form that I'm going to be working on is the one that didn't get us far. That was period 3. That way both groups or both classes will be able to stay on track together. My numbers will be a little bit different than they were yesterday, but you should go through the same thing. All right. So in period 3, we finished up on line 11 here. We were subtracting line 10 from 9, but we didn't have anything in line 10 for our adjusted gross income because there weren't any typical donations or anything, and that would be from Schedule 1. All right, next is line 12, your standardized deduction or your standard deduction. Well, since I'm single, or since the people that we're doing are single here are married filing separately, that's 14,600. So we're going to put 14,600 right here. All right. And qualified business income deduction, we don't have any of those, so we're going to keep that blank. Add lines 12 and 13, still becomes 14,600. And then subtract line 14 from 11. If I take a look, I've got 14,600 minus 7,678. Just pulling up Desmos to do that subtraction real quick. All right, so 7,678.21 minus 14,600. That's negative 7,221. 7,221. All right, that is your taxable income. In other words, because the deduction is so high for the student who ended up picking this cost, their deductions end up making their taxable income pretty much zero. In other words, they've already been taxed on enough of their income. All right, and then we're going to go on to tax and credits. Now, for the tax, you want to see instructions to calculate the tax, but that's what we've been doing with our tax calculation here on our W-2s. If you remember our W-2, federal income tax withheld, doing that calculation is that determines what our taxes should be. So with this income of 7,678, let's go ahead and find out what those taxes should be. That income is between $0 and $11,000, so it's just 10%. So we're going to find out what that tax is by just taking the 7,678 and getting 10% of it. 7,678, 10% of that is 670 and 82 cents. All right, so that's the amount of taxes that a person's supposed to pay. If you take a look, there's a few more lines to add. If it says Schedule 1, Schedule 2, each of these are different deductions that you can get. What these are doing are, these are deductions that are actually credits to your tax. So we add lines 16 and 17. 17 is blank, so this is going to be 767.82. Child tax credits. For me, there would be 2 child tax credits, and you can see them up here. And that's $1,200 each. So I would put $2,400 on it. All right, add lines 19 and 20. 19 is going to be blank. Again, that's from another schedule. And add lines 19 and 20. That gives us $2,400. All right, subtract line 21 from 18. Here we are getting a negative value again, minus, and let me pull up Desmos one more time. All right, so 767.82 minus 2,400. Now that gives us negative 1,632.18. All right. Other taxes, including the self-employment tax. There's no other taxes like that. Add lines 22 to 23, so our total tax is negative 1,632.18. All right. Well, that's how much you're supposed to pay in taxes. Notice how it's negative 1,600. This would really balance out to be zero whenever you're dealing with your taxes. If it's going to be a negative amount at the end of it, you do set it to zero. All right, so how much federal income tax was withheld already? In the W-2 form, this student said and pulled up their W-2, I believe, and found out that it was $22.76 in taxes. So this student paid $22.76. That's a lot less than is usual. Okay, so you add lines B, 25A through 25C, and you get 22.76. All right. If you are aware that you're going to have to pay taxes on the next year, sometimes you preemptively pay extra money to pay off those taxes, and that's what's right here. Then there's the earned income credit. The earned income credit can be used if you it can reduce your taxes by taking care of a child and things like that. That's another way to do it. You have this extra form that you would fill out to do so, but we're not going to have one of those. Additional child tax income credit, no. An American Opportunity Credit, no, we don't have that one. Amount of Schedule 3, line 15, don't have that one either. Okay, so these are your total other payments and refundable credits. And then we're going to add these all together. We know that 22.76 isn't totally used. All right. Well, if line is 33 is more than line 24, subtract them. So if this is bigger than this, subtract them, and it's not. This is the amount you overpaid. Amount of line 34 you want refunded to you. This is where we would get our tax return. Okay, since we ended up paying more taxes, and then that one, we end up getting a refund by subtracting them, and that's really zero, so we do 22.76 minus zero. So you'd get a refund of $22. For your refund, you write down how much you want back. Most people want the full refund back. And then you would put in your credit card information or your checking account information right there. And if you have extra tax that you know you'll have to pay over the next year, you fill it out right here. Most people, again, leave that blank. So what about the amount you owe? Well, if you're not getting a refund, if this student was not getting the $22 back, then you would subtract these and you would end up with a bigger amount. And that would be determining the amount you owe. Since this student is getting an amount back, that one will be empty, but for you it might be different. And then a tax penalty could show up. This happened to me once. I ended up not filing my taxes until May, and so I had to pay a $100 penalty for turning it in late. Finally, if you want another person to discuss things with the IRS, to work through things, maybe you feel like I don't have time or I'm not smart enough or my friend is a lawyer, that's where you would designate a third party to talk to the IRS during any audit. You'd finally sign this here. Both people who are involved will sign, and then you submit it to the IRS, usually in the form of a letter or something like that. Again, most of this is done online through companies like TurboTax, H&R Block, and other stuff, but notice how it really is just 2 pages of addition and subtraction. And most of it you don't even use because none of these are used by a lot of people. They're all for special situations. Now, if you get signed up to send these into the IRS, then they actually have you get a pen, and then you would enter in that pen, kind of like the pen that you use to pay using a card. And that is how we finish up our final learning target, filling out a Form 1040. Now, for your test, you are going to be expected to fill this out with special parameters and everything, so be prepared for that. With the remainder of today, you could do one of two things. You could begin your review, and that's going through each of these learning targets, all 5 of them, look back through it in the notes, and give yourself a score for it. Okay? And then write down some relevant information. For example, determining income taxes. Think about what's the essential question about that? What's the essential thing you need to know? And fill it out. See if there's any special formulas, any special things that you need to keep up with. What about tax equations and graphs? Same kind of thing. Reading tax forms, tax deductions, and filing taxes. Give yourself a score. Try and come up with the essential question. What's the essential thing you're trying to learn? The other thing that you can do besides working on the review here is actually what you're going to be starting tomorrow if you don't do it today. You're going to take your textbook, grab a textbook from the side of the classroom, and you're going to go to page 387. And on page 387, there are a whole bunch of problems that you can work on. I said 387, I meant 386 to start out. And you can work on problems from page 386 to 389. And each of these problems represents a different aspect of the stuff that we learned and everything like that. You want to go ahead and read this and go through some of those problems. I think I said it wrong. I believe it is 387. Yeah, page 387 to 389. And work on these problems. You're going to be doing this tomorrow as well. You want to work on problems 1 through 11. Okay, problem number 11 is really nice because it showcases a lot of different ways that somebody can earn an income and use it to get deductions and things like that. All right, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I will talk to you later. Tomorrow will not be the test. It's going to be that review. All right, talk to you later. Bye-bye.